Howdy, Heroes Hearth. This is Kyle Fergusson, and today I'm sitting down with FancyPants. This is GG Till I Die versus Team Backdoor on Towers of Doom, Storm Division, Rank 1, a Towers of Doom Dahaka. Welcome to you, FancyPants.
Thank you.
I am very excited to talk to you about this because I am seeing it everywhere. And in fact, in this very game, Dahaka was first pick. Nothing seen, no solo laners at all have been banned. So what's the deal with Dahaka on Towers of Doom?
So Dahaka is really strong in the meta overall right now. I think he always has been good on Towers of Doom because you're playing so much around bot side because the two pumpkin sappers. So at any point you can just global down to a fight that revolves around either defending them or trying to capture a point. So that's why he's so strong here. For first pick, we pick him because it doesn't show anything in our drafts. We just pick an offlaner that, can't be killed and can double soak and has the global presence.
So has that fundamentally changed? Because I feel like maybe a year ago it was all about like hide the bruiser to the last moment. We don't want to get counterplayed, but now we've gone full double soak.
I'm not really sure. I think it's dependent on team style. I think our team just likes to pick it early because we think that, hiding your DPS is more important, so you can counter the enemy team's front line or their back line. But the bruisers, they're all kind of just solid heroes that can't be hard countered too much.
And then in the second pick, you guys didn't end up banning any bruisers or anything, and you're up against a Urel. So I know we're dealing with Liam's Urel here, so it's likely to have a Urel. But is that a counter to what you're doing on Dahaka?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, so one of the biggest counters to Dahaka is interrupting his drag. And so you'll see Liam, he'll have his W ready in case I get anybody, he'll knock me away. So that's definitely a good counter, but, as you see in the lane here, we're just kind of clearing. Neither one of us is pushing each other away.
So what's
it's kind of a wet noodle fight.
Yeah, everybody's smacking each other. What's the kind of value exchange and math here with middle now collapsing? Wouldn't you be double soaking in such a way you'd go, oh no, I don't care about Liam, I gotta go get back to mid?
Well, we're communicating as a team, and so I just tell Jay to go get the mid lane, so he catches that, and then now we can clear this mid together, and then I'll go back top, and then we can look for a Burrow bottom when Liam has to go back top.
Okay, so in a coordinated environment, you're able to call up someone to that. So would you suggest learning Dahaka for solo queue in Towers of Doom?
Yeah, I think he's still strong. In solo queue, people mess with you less, so you'll be able to double clear, easy. It won't be a false set attacking you usually. And he's just, I think he's just really strong in general. I would say you could first pick him on any map.
I think one of the really cool things you do throughout this game, and certainly everyone at home be watching for it, is using the expected jump location of a Urel as well as the land location of a Falstad to line up a drag.
Oh yeah.
So at level 1 here, you have grabbed the tissue regeneration. Now, wouldn't enhanced agility be a big double soak power for you?
Yeah, that would be better for double soaking. I did think about going that build this game, but I thought with this build you're a lot less killable. So if they have a false stat on a Brightwing, they might, look to gank me top. And if I just get polyed into Urel knocked, false stat can burst me down quickly. So if I have this build, way more tanky. And then it's also, I think it's better for team fighting, but I've been trying both builds and I think they're both strong. So you can make an argument for either.
It seems like the Dark Swarm entire build of everything Dark Swarm has gone out of style. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely this build you see a lot more, but I do think there is a place for that build. I've been trying it a little bit. I think this would be a good game for it, but I didn't opt for it.
So tissue regeneration gives you regen globes giving essence, and then you get maximum essence. So when you say survivability, you just mean more big healing.
Yeah, the health regen you get with this is also really strong. It's if you think about the old regen master, this is having 40-50 globes on that or something. So it's just a lot of just basic regen.
With enhanced agility or just in general with Dahaka, are you using kind of a toe in the bush in certain situations? What's your rotational pattern? And do you think you should be using bushes as like a booster regardless of build?
Yeah, you should play around bushes like pretty much anytime you're playing Dahaka. Like they give you move speed, and also you look to try to your tongues are hard to hit. So if you're trying to hit a one without like any lead-in CC, it's better to try it from out of vision. So you should just be playing around bushes like anytime you're playing Dahaka, no matter what build you are.
Well, like that situation there, you went through the middle bottom bush, which makes sense. You get a little bit of speed. Is it worth going and putting a toe in the left side bush for another boost, or do you then walk in a straight line to maintain direction?
You should just keep walking bush to bush, really.
Okay. That was one of that false stat grab was phenomenal, though. By the way, that's what I was alluding to earlier.
He kind of just walked into it
after just getting back in the game as well. I know a lot of bruisers have these kind of patterns where you do like 2 auto attacks for you, 2 auto attacks for you, and then I cast Dark Swarm, for instance. Does Dahaka Clear have a rhythm like that?
I like to just wait for the minions to all group up, and then I'll press W, and then I'll auto the ranged minions a couple times each. It depends on what level you are. So when you get 13, you can auto the ranged minions just once. And so one auto plus W will clear them. But pre-13, I think you need 2 autos on the ranged minions. So the big thing is just making sure that your Dark Swarm is hitting everything. So you don't want to use it until they're all clumped.
Now that's not based on... Oh wait, no, you do Primal Rage, correct? Increase attack damage per essence stored. So is that why that works at 13, or is it just scaling?
Right, it's the Primal Rage talent, which is also, I think, you get 10 bonus essence with this level 1, which increases the auto attack damage more from that 13. So I think 13 is like Dahaka's biggest power spike, because you can start like actually threatening kills solo.
Interesting. Is it that power that has pushed something like Ferocious Stalker out of play in this whole Dark Swarm build?
Right, and then he got that auto attack buff too, so he gets more autos, so more damage, plus the level 7 feeding frenzy buff. Got a more drag duration. So you're just if you tongue someone and can auto them the whole time, you can like get another dragon after like another 1 auto. It's really broken.
Right. That's right. It was a auto attack speed buff, and it equaled to like 1 extra auto attack per 5 attacks, but that would still mean more damage and more feeding frenzy.
Exactly, yeah.
And they buffed that at the same time as they put in the auto attack?
Yeah, when he was already strong, it didn't make any sense.
Wow. Okay, well, we're looking here at the level 7 talent Feeding Frenzy. Basic attacks reduce drag cooldown by 1.75 seconds. That's a pretty big reduction. Increase the duration. I don't think I've ever seen paralyzing enzymes. Is there a place for it?
Not really. I mean, the way I think about it is if you think you can only land like 1 tongue per fight, because they will just like run away, maybe it's good, but I mean, this one is just so strong. It forces them to run away from you, like, and not be able to detect.
Right now, in this coordinated play environment, are you making the choice to be here, or did the team call for you to come down and stay?
I think I made the choice. We had the pumpkins pressuring, and there wasn't anything happening on the top of the map, so we just tried to force them in. We didn't get it. You know, maybe if I hit a tongue, we get a kill as well. But, you know, it was just... That was, like, the pumpkins going in was the biggest thing happening, so it's important for me to be there and try to get them in.
And Lunara's kind of covering your off lane here as you got busy down there. You got a little... not stuck because you went down purposely, but now you need to wait for your next dig and Burrow to get back up there.
Right.
Is there a window of time you feel like this is best at? Because clearly you guys have 13, they don't. So there's a time period, but when you're 14 and they're 13, like, how do I know as Dahaka when I can stop soaking?
It's probably the hardest thing to do about playing Dahaka. So here, like, the altars are spawning bottom, but we saw them top, so I'm just playing top to slow the rotation. So ideally here I'd be playing the top side so I could dig down, but we had position, so we just want to deny them from getting to stall these altars. So that's why I was just sitting mid there, and I run it down a little bit.
Oh, it's a very big CC chain.
Yeah, so we just wanted to stall their rotation, so we got both the caps.
Okay.
So maybe I didn't need to die there, but we still get them down to 8 shots.
Certainly worth in that sort of situation.
Yeah, we did have a lot of momentum though, so me dying there lets them look for chain ints. So we're running it down a little bit here.
So was that a positional mistake then? What would you do differently? And could Burrow have changed that?
I think ideally we just play that middle altar slower. We had Legacy was capping the bottom one, so we can just wait for him to get that, and then we can just stall the middle altar, and then we can just play the 5v5 since we've been winning them all game. See, now they still are sappers. They got 2 straight kills, and now Jay's overextended. So we're kind of throwing the game right now just because I died there. So even though we got the cap, it let them back in the game kind of.
There's gonna be this is quite a game. This is quite a game going forward for sure.
Yeah.
So you then had to walk back on the field because you wanted to hold on to your bush stalker, correct?
Right. So I don't think I see a lot of people in Storm League, they'll press Z, if they die, they'll go back to lane. But there's nothing that was happening that I needed the Z to. So just walking back to lane's better. So now there's the 3 altars spawning. So this is one of the power points for Dahaka where you can cap the top right one, and then you can go down to your team.
But here you decide to join here. What was that choice?
We were kind of running it down again. So
okay.
I tried to help my team, but didn't work out.
Danger was afoot. You were trying to add to the safety, and Vala went down all the same. I gotcha. So let's talk a little bit about the burrow, because I've seen you also what looks like preemptive burrowing when you see Brightwing walking towards you, getting in range.
Yeah, so the level 4 burrow they added, which gives you stealth that knocks back, is really good at setting up for tongues and for your team CC. I don't hit it here, but it's strong because when you look for roll drags, like good players in the other team are going to look to interrupt it. So they won't really try to dodge it so much as they will try to interrupt it. So Brightwing on the other team will have polymorph. So Heavy's just looking, anytime I look for a drag, he's going to try to polymorph it. Because we don't really have any other thing that he needs to poly. So stuff like that, and like Liam can like knock me away if I hit someone on his team as well. And then Adoob, he has Cocoon, he has stuns. So it's really hard to find drags onto their team with that don't get interrupted. And we don't have any lead-in CC. So it's hard to hit him that way too. So I think this game, like using E first, might be better than using drag. Because they can't really counterplay that so much.
Okay. And then you can kind of bait those out or dodge some of those moments that would put you in trouble, and then hopefully get a drag on the other side when you've noticed the other cooldowns.
Right.
That's pretty advanced stuff. I mean, naturally, in a MOBA, we should all be aware of the enemy abilities, but being that careful on what we would consider like an invincible bruiser who has this reputation right now of being unkillable, that's a pretty cool layer to discover. It's also extremely tame when you take it at 4 with just Lurker Strain. You're moving so slow, but then you get that tunneling claws, and now you're really going somewhere.
Right. It like increases your range of like where people have to stand away from you, kind of. Like you can get, I think drag range at 16 is still good, where like people just have to respect like the extra range you have. But it's the same thing with tunneling claws, because if you just E and then hit them with it, it's easy for you to hit a tongue after, or your team to follow up on it.
So you get a reduced cooldown by 6 seconds there at 4, taking you to still 14 seconds. That's a pretty big window to be exposed. What's the rhythm of the essence? Do you prefer to hit essence before you burrow, hit it during, after? Is there some sort of window in there you like to use?
Usually I would like to use essence late. Sometimes it gets me killed because I just don't use it. But with your 13, it has to be your stored essence is what deals the damage, so that's why I like keeping it. Other things are if you're like fighting in a wave and you can get some globes, you can use it then, because then you'll get the globes and the minions will give you essence as well. So you use it and then you can get some more essence real quick. So you'll have the attack damage and you'll have more essence coming in.
I guess it is a very different playstyle because whether you're going Hero Stalker or one who collects, you're getting a whole different source of essence in those situations.
Right.
Why'd you get cocooned here?
They went for a dive onto our backline, and it just didn't work out for them. So then they're just afraid of our counter engage because they use their cooldowns, and I was like really close to Falstad, who had just used Gust. So they're just worried that I can get onto him. So I think it was a good cocoon.
There's a lot of philosophies with a lot of different heroes that if you go a more survivability build, you can go a damage ult, and vice versa. If you go more of a damage build, you go the survivability ult. But here in a pretty aggressive build, you end up grabbing the isolation.
Yeah, I think this game, I shouldn't really be dying. They should be focusing our backline, so I don't need adaptation.
Okay, yeah.
And isolation, I don't think it will do much at 10 because they have so many save tools. But if you hit a big one at 20, it could just win you the game because of the AoE spread.
God, oh, so it's more of like a lamb to the slaughter butcher sort of scenario.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So when
it's just a win condition that they keep in the back of their mind at 20.
So there's a team comp over there. You might notice that they're not playing together. They have lots of small isolated, maybe like a Zeratul possibly could be isolated for big success at 10.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, one of the things you should look for is, so we have Tyrael as a tank, so he doesn't have a lot of CC. So if you're using isolation, you should usually try to use it as a follow-up because they're so hard to hit, just without like anything setting you up. But here I'm just kind of just throwing them out just randomly and hoping they hit. A lot of them do miss this game.
A follow-up, you're saying like to your own team CC, not necessarily like a drag or anything like that.
Right. Like if we had an Uther or something, he walked up, stunned something, then, you know, no matter what the target is, if you follow up with a tongue or an isolation, like that's a lot of pressure on the other team. Even if it's just like other tank, like they have to help him and step up.
That's a really cool note though. Like, so often, and particularly I do this, I baby my ultimates. I'm nervous they're not going to do anything, so I end up letting just time lapse by where I could have used one. So noticing the enemy team's preventative powers, how they're grouped, just letting this rip aggressively, whether or not it hits, probably best until that 20 moment.
Yep.
So at level 20, then we get Contagion. Isolation hits all heroes near the first target. So you're hoping for that big spread that gets them all locked down. Confused and lost as isolation causes that lack of vision, silencing, and slowing.
Yeah, it makes them have to like respect clumping a lot more, so they can't group up that much. Yeah, so we're just looking for the big game-winning play with that 20.
Is there any other chance, any other maps you would go something else at 20?
I like Essence Claws at 20 a lot, but this game I'm not really autoing that much. Because they're like, I would be autoing either a noob or Urel, and they're kind of keeping their distance from me.
Yeah. The amount of autos has decreased as the levels have gone up, and certainly we're all dancing for engages here, and Falstad's holding out for those big wins.
Yeah.
The attacks have gotten really big, though. I noticed that at 13, and you hitting along the way here, some 300 at that point, now getting more towards 400. That's pretty good.
Yeah, basically a gray main at this point.
Yeah, that's a really cool way to think of him. Now here you've got the dig, so why did they do a Mighty Gust on solo Dahaka?
They might have thought it was still on cooldown.
Okay.
I'm not really sure. It was a good look from them. Sometimes you can get like stunned in the Gust animation too, so I can't press any buttons, but
yeah.
I was able to get out there. And they did force out Sank too, so that was a good trade for them, I think.
That old Chen Wandering Keg knockback that comes with a silence.
Yeah.
And they really invest a lot in you. So here you've lost your essence. You got a well, or was that a heal from?
That was a mouth heal.
Okay.
You can't actually tap the well before the fort's back up yet. It's kind of annoying.
Oh, it looked really big, and that's why he's full leaves. He's all the leaves. Okay, that makes sense now. So at this point, over the course of the game, things have gotten a lot scarier for you. How do you play the invincible, what people assume to be invincible bruiser as it gets more and more squishy?
So the only thing I think I have to watch out for, or I guess a couple things, is the biggest thing is Brightwing Poly. So if I go deep looking for something and I get polymorphed, I can't I can't burrow, I can't use my essence, and then I also have minus 25 armor. So that's like the big moment I can die. So as long as I'm not getting polyed 1v5 and they backline can follow up, I think I should be okay. But other than that, I think if they're just autoing me, I should be able to live with mouth healing and my essence.
In a less squirrely environment, with the burrow there, you were hoping to go in and land a slow that could equal a drag, thanks to your lurker strain?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So here we get a drag, and then forces out cleanse and a couple defensive tools, and you see your rail has to go in really deep. So we're just looking to split their team, and now they don't have those defensive tools for this next fight, and they're just kind of caught overextended.
Yeah, and then your
so it wasn't even So it wasn't even about the first drag that hits. Like, it's just that forces out the defensive cooldowns, and then we can look for something on Urel later. And then Brightwing has to Z her and gets caught.
And something you're doing in the background here that I now notice because we've talked through this is you're using that primal rage essence, sitting on it. So you were at about 3/4 health, sitting on essence that was giving you bonus damage, so you didn't want to use this. And then as soon as Brightwing went down and the fight dynamic changed, you could then use that essence to heal now that you're not as concerned about having that bonus attack damage.
Right. Once they go down, you just want to play the 5v4, so you just make sure you don't die. You can just pop the essence to live.
That's really complicated. That's super cool. All right.
Yeah.
Let's just go back so we can take a look at the numbers here real quick. But I realize now why I'm an awful Dahaka, because I thought it was more like even Urel and kind of that I'm just going to jump in and live sort of way, or Thrall, as long as I keep hitting buttons, it'll be okay. I didn't realize there was such a balancing act with your essence control, with the damage you're dealing with, the way you're trying to play, in addition to also managing a map, noting XP lead so you can actually go somewhere. And I learned you can drag the minions together in the camp there, and it does a little damage, and might as well.
Yeah, might as well. It's just all about min-maxing on Dahaka.
So damage numbers here, does this look pretty spot on for what players should expect when they end a quick match game, for instance, and they want to know if they did well on Dahaka?
Yeah, you don't really need to do a lot of damage. Your big number should be your XP soak, and probably self-healing a little bit. Depends on what build you're going, but you really win or lose the game based off like your drags and whether or not you're running it down and inting. So as long as you're hitting tongues and not dying, I'd say you're doing a pretty good job.
Cool. So with this build, we would expect less self-healing since we're holding on to that essence more often until the 5v4 is kind of going down. But
yeah, there's other builds that you can get way more healing with.
But otherwise, wait for that friendly CC to help you land your drag. Is there any maps? Go for it.
Yeah, that's what I would recommend. Sorry for interrupting so much.
No, that's good. This is great information. Are there any maps you just wouldn't do an early pick Dahaka on?
It's definitely worse than some maps, I think. But maps with very few bushes can get rough. Like Hanamura and Volskaya, they both have like really few bushes. So it's not even just like where you can global to. It's what gives you activates your move speed. So it gets harder to move around. And like just get into fights at all with them. You're just kind of just a slow walking dinosaur that has to walk up to people and hit raw drags on them. It gets hard.
That's fair. So when people say there's no good bushes, it's not that they couldn't move globally or they're not allowed to. It's simply that there's no booster pads for the Dahaka to maneuver with.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a little bit of both. But yeah, that definitely hurts them if there's no bushes around.
I've seen it a couple times. Dahaka gets picked on Brax's holdout with all his survivability. He does pretty well. What counters Dahaka in the solo lane? More of a dedicated solo lane sort of area.
If you figure that out, you'd let me know.
Okay.
I don't really know. He's really strong right now. I think I haven't figured out a matchup that beats him yet. There's some that I think Chen I've seen go kind of even early, but then once he gets 7, he can just interrupt the drinking so much. It gets hard. But yeah, I've still been trying to figure that out. I'm not sure yet.
What's the dance with Malthiel? I see a lot of Malthiel picks when the Dahaka gets grabbed.
So with Malthael, Dahaka does get countered by him in lane, but the thing that happens is if you can call one of your range to go gank him, he pretty much dies every time they gank him, and he's trading into you.
Oh,
So
okay. So
if it's a Malthael calls for a gank, then you just you use your tap or something like. But if he gets ganked, he'll die. So that's why I don't think he's countered too much by Malthael.
gotcha. So in that sort of situation, friendly help is required. However, the old Malthael problems of he has to walk everywhere and has no escape. Play
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this was amazing information. Thank you for the big rundown here on a really cool, stressful game. Everyone watching here at Heroes Hearth, be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, comment about Dahaka below. There's going to be more Learn to Play content going forward. And of course, that's CCL Season 3 firing up this weekend. Be sure to check it out. And we'll see y'all soon.